Later, in another part of the city, Darth Vader surveyed a carbon-freezing chamber with Lando.
This facility is crude, but it should be adequate to freeze Skywalker for his journey to the Emperor.
Lord Vader, we only use this facility for carbon freezing. If you put him in there, it might kill him.
Then we'll test it on Captain Solo first.
It wasn't long before Han and the others were brought into the chamber. Darth Vader looked at the doomed Han Solo. Chewbacca went crazy at the thought of his friend being put into carbon freeze.
Chewie, the princess, you have to take care of her, you hear me?
The Wookiee nodded. Leia rushed over to Han.
I love you.
I know.
Han was lowered into the pit, and within seconds he was frozen and in perfect hibernation.
Reset the chamber for Skywalker. See to it that he finds his way in here.
At the same time, Luke had landed his ship in Cloud City and was looking for his friends. He'd heard a commotion and was hiding in a doorway as a procession of stormtroopers passed by. Suddenly, a laser blast narrowly missed his head. He'd been spotted. Dodging laser fire, Luke ran for cover and ended up in a darkened chamber.
The Force is strong with you, young Skywalker, but you are not a Jedi yet.
Luke was exactly where Darth Vader wanted him. While the frozen Han was being taken away by Boba Fett, several stormtroopers escorted Lando and the others to Darth Vader's shuttle. Suddenly, they were surrounded by Cloud City guards.
Well done. Hold them in the security tower. And keep it quiet.
The first handcuffs that Lando unlocked were Chewbacca's. The Wookiee turned and began choking him.
There's no chance to save Han. At the east platform.
Chewbacca and Leia raced after Han, but they were too late. In the carbon-freezing chamber, Luke and Darth Vader were locked in combat.
Your destiny lies with me, Skywalker.
Vader knocked Luke into the freezing pit. With a wave of his hand, the freezing equipment started to work. With Jedi skill, Luke leaped out of the pit and stood before Vader.
Obi-Wan has taught you well. You have controlled your fear. Now release your anger. Only your hatred can destroy me.
Vader lunged at Luke. Their sabers clashed, and Luke forced Vader off the stage. Luke climbed down after Darth Vader and found himself in a small room. Vader sprang from the shadows. As they continued to fight, Vader used his powers to break heavy pieces of equipment off the wall and slam them into Luke. More and more things flew at the young Jedi, causing him to swing his lightsaber wildly. Vader stepped back. Then one piece of equipment crashed through a window, and suddenly Luke was sucked out of the room and tossed onto a platform below. At that same time, Leia and the others were racing through the city's corridors, with stormtroopers at their heels. Lando paused at a communication terminal.
This is Lando Calrissian. The Empire has taken over the city. I advise everyone to leave before more Imperial troops arrive.
They ran down the landing platform and inside the Millennium Falcon. Chewbacca started the ship's engines. In a hail of laser fire, the ship tore off into the clouds. Meanwhile, Luke crept along a ledge that stuck out over a huge bottomless reactor shaft. Suddenly, Vader was there. He forced the young Jedi down to the very end of the ledge. The crackle of swords echoed as Vader attacked Luke. In one swipe, Luke lost his right hand and his lightsaber into the abyss below.
There is no escape. Don't make me destroy you. Join me and I will complete your training. With our combined strength, we can end this destructive conflict and bring order to the galaxy.
Darth Vader towered over Luke.
If you only knew the power of the dark side. Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father.
He told me enough. He told me you killed him.
No, I am your father.
No. No, that's not true. That's impossible!
Luke, you can destroy the Emperor. It is your destiny. Join me, and together we can rule the galaxy as father and son.
Luke let go, falling away from his father, into the abyss. He tumbled through the air until he landed on a vent hatch. The hatch opened, and Luke fell out onto a weather vane. Try as he might, he couldn't get back to the hatch. As he dangled in space, he used the Force to call for help.
Leia, hear me. Leia.
Far away, Leia felt very strange.
Luke. We've got to go back. I know where Luke is.
Chewbacca turned the ship around. As they neared Luke's position, Lando harnessed himself to the emergency hatch and pulled Luke safely inside. On board the medical ship, Luke had his arm fitted for a mechanical hand. Leia stood at the window, watching Lando and Chewbacca in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon.
Princess, we'll find Han. I promise.
Luke walked over to Leia as the Millennium Falcon zoomed into space. The Empire had won this battle, but the rebels knew they would meet their enemy again someday, and maybe then they could continue the fight to bring freedom to the galaxy.